Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back to the Songwriter Show, right here on Reality Radio 101. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show every single Tuesday evening. I believe that every song is a story. Tonight, I'm so happy to have Michael Kolwitz on the show. He's a speaker who focuses on creative problem solving. He's also a recording artist and author who helped pioneer the little-known American stringed instrument, the Chapman stick.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Michael. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Sarantos. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So, I have to ask you, right? What is the Chapman stick? You got to tell me in the audience exactly what it is, because it sounds really cool.
The Chapman stick is the coolest instrument ever invented, and probably the best instrument no one's ever heard of. It's celebrating its 50th anniversary. It's an American stringed instrument that's played with both hands. It's a piano-like technique of tapping with both hands, but on a stringed instrument. It is way, way cool.
That sounds cool, man. That's pretty interesting. And how did you get into this?
Oh, boy. Well, imagine you're in the 5th grade, and you could take music class, and I chose the trumpet, which I played for about 10 years. When I was 18, I worked in a music store and read about this new instrument. And I went to a college coffee house in Southern California and saw this man named Emmett Chapman, who had just developed this incredible new instrument. I saw him and I was hooked instantly, and I've been playing it ever since.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about I know you do a lot of different things with author and music, and tell us about your songwriting process. Do you start with this instrument? Do you start with lyrics, melody? How do you get started when you're creating something?
Well, I'm a 100% instrumentalist, so I don't write lyrics. But what I do is I try to develop new sounds and new techniques playing this instrument that's still very little known.
Okay. Now, my next question, of course, because we have a wide variety on the show of listeners, do you ever work with someone? Do you work with lyricists or songwriters to incorporate your unique instrument into like a song?
No, I haven't. I've performed over the years with, numerous vocalists, but mostly for corporate type jobs. I've just never really written any lyrics and put them to music with the stick on my own. Yeah. My music is 100% instrumental. I do sing in the shower occasionally, and my neighbors haven't complained yet.
Not yet, right? Okay. So tell us a little bit about your process in terms of your instrumentalist. Do you come up with new things? Do you do covers, or do you do both?
Well, the first half of my career, I did mostly covers because I figured, well, I'm not going to get hired anywhere. No one's going to buy my CDs unless I do covers. So I did many albums with different genres. I tried Americana, jazz, blues, Hawaiian music, and then even more into contemporary instrumental and new age. I did 2 albums of nothing but Beatles tunes, for example. And then about 2017, I started just composing original music. I didn't think anyone would like it, but they did. So I kept doing it. Yeah. And I had a couple of Billboard albums. In a trilogy, I did 3 albums entitled Serenity 1, 2, and 3.
So you brought up an interesting thing. Your instrument, is there a certain genre or is there a certain style? Like you said, Hawaiian. What is the style that it most fits into for you in your hands?
Well, anything that I happen to like. The instrument is a blank canvas. So, I mean, it could be Take a grand piano. You could set Jerry Lee Lewis down on it, and then you could put Vladimir Horowitz, and you're going to get two different performances, two different styles. The Chapman stick is just like that because it can be anything the artist wants it to be. It opens so many new avenues, especially when you're playing poly chords like a pianist, where you can do chord voicings that are almost impossible on a guitar.
That's very cool. So what do you prefer? Like, is there a certain style that you find yourself playing mostly?
Well, I started composing my own music, and I found that I liked peaceful music. After, so many years of doing all these different genres, I lived in Hawaii for 6 years, so I learned a lot of Hawaiian music, and a lot of those feelings kind of get into my music. But when I started composing original stuff, I was in a group where they don't know where to put you. So you either end up in contemporary instrumental or new age.
Yeah, I totally hear that. I kind of release a surprise CD at the end of the year all the time, and it's instrumentals and new age. And I know what you're saying about they don't know where to put you.
Yeah.
It's good and bad, right? Yeah, they're like, oh, this is a Christian one. This is new age. This is meditation, relaxation. But it's hard sometimes to classify some of the songs.
Well, just the words new age brings up all kinds of crazy connotations for some people. Like, oh, no, I'm not going to listen to that. That's new age. That's, that's not right.
Yeah.
But it's just, all it is peaceful music. I found that people have played my music on, some of my albums are on the CARE channel, which is being to 1,400 hospitals nationwide. So if that gives you some idea of, what kind of feeling you get, at least from my music. Other stick players have done just about everything. I've heard rock, jazz, country, Celtic, classical music. If you can think of a genre, there's a stick player somewhere on earth that has recorded in that genre.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. You told us a little bit about when you started and how old you were. But how old were you when you first started taking it seriously? When you said, this is going to be my career, this is going to be my main passion that I want to do?
Well, I was 19 when I met the inventor. And I just knew it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I don't know what he saw in me, but he took me under his wing. And I took lessons from the inventor for the first 10 years. And we remained friends throughout his entire lifetime. There's a little over 8,000 of these instruments out there now, but it still hasn't received, it's one of the most underappreciated instruments of all time. It wasn't until my mid-20s when I started thinking, wow, this could be a career. But I found out that when you're in your mid-20s, playing an instrument that no one has ever heard of, you can't make a dime at it. So I had a young family to support, and I did other things as well.
Well, that gets into the reality of the music business for a lot of people. Yeah, you got to support yourself no matter what and keep doing it on the side until you become an overnight sensation 20 years later.
Yes, it couldn't be said better, but I always had a passion for it, and I still do.
Yeah.
I love the instrument. I think it's only the surface has been tapped, really, with the Chapman stick. And I look forward to seeing a lot more new young players come onto the scene eventually. But the music industry has completely ignored the stick for the most part, with the exception of a few progressive rock groups like King Crimson, Peter Gabriel, have used the stick in their recordings and even used the stick out on tour.
Yeah, that's very cool. So who would you want to be in a room with, dead or alive? Which musician?
Kenny G, Chick Corea, Steve Vai, Eric Johnson, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah.
Oh, and Keith Emerson.
Okay.
Those are probably my favorites. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and there was a lot more good music then. That was back when the music industry, actually believed in supporting and nurturing artists to let them be creative and do what they do.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, the industry became more populated by accountants and bean counters. Well, we didn't make any money on this. Next.
You know, I understand both sides of it, and it's very difficult because I get it. They want to make money, and if they're going to invest a couple million marketing a song, but it is so weird now, man. Everything is cookie cutter. Everything is made for Spotify. It's short. It has to fit into these templates, and they market research a crap out of shit where I get it, but it's hard, man. It's really hard.
And now you even have AI creating songs, with some human interaction. I saw a video the other day, and a guy created the entire song using AI, and he wanted it to sound like a certain artist, Dua Lipa. And he tried using the computers for his voice, didn't work, hired a real singer, and they made it work.
You know, it's going to get better and better. And I've had a couple of songwriters, professional songwriters that are like, hey, I asked it to write me a song and here's what it did and here's why it's messed up. The sad thing is they're going to get better and better. And I don't think it's going to challenge real songwriters for a while. But what's happening is you already have like 20,000 songs coming on Spotify every day. It's just going to inundate the marketplace, and it's going to inundate elevator music and all these basic things that is just sad.
Yeah, well, there's just so much content now. I read the other day that there's 3 million books a year published. I published a book last year. It's titled Stick With It, Adventures of a Chapman Stick Player. I was one of the very few original students of the inventor, and what I wanted to do is document those early years so that, it's part of music history.
Yeah.
And I thought it was important to get it down on paper, and the book did relatively well in the first year. But, after the excitement wears off, it doesn't do quite as well. But it's out there, and I'm glad I did it, along with the I've had over 30 releases now. And I think about 24 or more were full-length albums of all 100% instrumental stick music. So I covered a lot of territory.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Tell us, we're going to listen to this song here. What do you want us to know about it? What inspired it?
You know how on a Sunday morning, it's the kind of day where you don't have to stress about anything. You can put your feet up, have a cup of coffee, look out the window. You're not in a hurry to get anywhere. Well, that was how I wrote this song, and it is entitled Sunday Morning.
Awesome. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's take a listen, and we'll come back and talk, okay?
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Awesome. Check this out, everybody. Here we go. Well, that was pretty cool, man. Thank you for sharing it with the audience and myself tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome. So, how do you balance your music career with other obligations like family, friends, another job maybe?
Well, I did festivals and fairs for many, many years, and I did pretty well. But slowly over the years, music sells less and less in person. I sold CDs for, I don't know, 20, since the early 2000s, over 20 years. And then I also sold digital downloads, but you just have to hustle. I played weddings, corporate events, bank openings, you name it, malls, any place where I could get paid and where I could sell music. And as time went on, I became more and more known. So it was easier to get those jobs, and it really helped.
Yeah, so one of the questions I like to ask most guests is about scams. So tell us about a scam that we should all be wary of that maybe you've fallen for or heard about.
Well, anytime they tell you send your money and we're going to make you a star, you can be sure that's a scam. Anytime you send your money and they tell you you're going to make money from sending them money, it's usually a scam. I've run into all kinds of scams over the years. One of the weirdest ones of all was people who would contact me to book phony weddings. I mean, it's bizarre.
Wow.
I knew something just didn't sound right, so I'd call the venue and they'd say, no, we've never heard of them. We don't have anything scheduled on that day. I can never figure it out, but it happened probably about a half a dozen times. So it must have been one of those, we're going to overpay you in advance and send back the difference or something, but I never did figure it out.
That's crazy, man. That's wild. Tell us about your phone. Are there any apps that you can't live without?
My phone is pretty appless. I think the camera would be the thing I couldn't live without.
Okay. All right.
I've steered away. I have friends that hook up every single app and they look at their phone 2,600 times a day. Every time it rings, every time there's a text, something new on Facebook, an email, and I just made a conscious choice not to do that.
Yeah, you want to actually live your life, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to be tied to this thing.
How dare you?
Oh, well, I think more and more people are realizing that it's really not all that good for you, and it doesn't really make much difference in the long run. I mean, I grew up before we had phones or any of this digital stuff, and we did just fine.
Yeah, we survived. We went outside and played all day.
But it does have some advantages, but almost everything good seems to have an advantage or a disadvantage. So you just have to figure out which side you're looking at.
Yeah, no, I get it. Tell us about your first job. What was your first job?
My very first job was at a McDonald's when I was a kid. And my second job was at a music store. And that is where I learned about the stick. I was in the break room reading through a, trade magazine. I found this little ad in the back and it said, tap softly, but carry a big orchestra. And I was just fascinated. Synthesizers were becoming commercially available to the general public. And I thought, wow, this is the greatest new thing. But I saw that little ad. And so this was back before the internet. I just wrote a short note and wrote away for a brochure. And that's how I found the stick.
Wow. Okay.
It was in the spring of 1976. And the summer of 76, I saw Emmett Chapman play live at the coffee house in a local college. And by the end of that year, I owned my first instrument. And going to his house in the top of Laurel Canyon was like visiting a mad scientist. He has these gigantic 20-foot tall doors and they creak when he opens it and he goes, come in. It was scary at first, but we became good friends, and I've been friends with his family ever since. They've always made me feel like I was, a part of the whole stick history, and still am.
So tell us about where the fans can buy your stuff, stream it, your books, your songs, anything you want to share.
My music, you can still buy CDs. They're out there. And My music is on Bandcamp, Spotify, Pandora, probably 20 other streaming platforms I don't even know about. My book, Stick With It, Adventures of a Chapman Stick Player, is available on Amazon.
Okay. So last question of the night for you. What things do you not like to do?
Eat Brussels sprouts.
Okay. Anything else?
You mean like music-wise?
No, I meant anything. Not eating Brussels sprouts is fine. I hate that too. But I'm just trying to get one more out of you before I let you go.
Okay. Things I don't like to do. Well, I don't really like working on my car. I'd rather hire someone who knows what they're doing. Otherwise, I scrape all my knuckles and say a lot of nasty words and end up with grease everywhere.
Okay, well.
My brother got the mechanic's genes, not me.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. All right, man. I want to thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It was a real pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Sarantos. And I really enjoyed your 4th of July video.
Oh, thank you.
My favorite video of yours was Above the Clouds.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the fans for listening to the two of us tonight. We both hope your unique story gets heard around the world too. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every single Tuesday evening to hear all these amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show on Reality Radio 101. I love you all. Have a great night.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.